Now let's start with the design thinking section. Today, while informing you about design thinking, I will be answering these questions. What is design thinking? Why design thinking? What are the design thinking models? What are the characteristics of the design thinking mindset? And lastly, how is design thinking being taught? Before defining design thinking, I would like to start with giving the definition of the wicked problems. The term wicked problems refers to the complex problems that stem from multiple causes and affect a multitude of stakeholders with various needs. Thus, they do not have a single solution. For this reason, the wicked problems cannot be solved by following a conventional engineering-grounded linear processes. The traditional linear fashion doesn't work for these problems because the problem definition evolves as the new problem solutions are considered or implemented. Moreover, wicked problems always occur in a social context. The wickedness of the problem is in line with the diversity amongst stakeholders in the problem. Hence, they require the involvement of the stakeholders who have a connection with and are affected by the problem. Now, I would like to give you an example. For instance, you can think about designing a face mask for COVID-19 as a wicked problem. Why? Because there are many parameters to consider while designing this mask. For instance, there are several people who have different needs in using this mask. If you think about people who have hearing loss, they need to see the movements of the lips of the people they are communicating with. And from another perspective, other points to take into consideration are the materials that will be used for this mask and the production technique that will be selected. These are important because we need to consider the sustainability aspect as well. And moreover, it is essential to take into account the afterlife of the masks and suggest environmental friendly strategies for recycling them. Another wicked problem is about convincing everyone to wear a face mask. Currently, it's no longer an issue, but it was recently, because as you know, not everyone prefers using a mask or they don't use it properly. And for this reason, it requires the collaboration between several disciplines, from engineers, physicists, psychologists, to fashion designers. Many disciplines can contribute to solving these wicked problems and finding a common ground. There are some questions to ask in design thinking processes in order to find solutions. First of all, it is essential to define the problem. So the first question to ask is, what is the problem? Then, in order to identify the stakeholders of this problem, this question is asked, who is affected? Who is experiencing this problem? After that, it is significant to know also about the context in which the problem occurs. For this reason, these questions are asked. Where does it happen? Who else is involved? Is it a physical or digital space? The other essential questions are when it is a problem, why does it matter, and how much is the cost? And if we come back to the definition of design thinking, it's a methodology that deals with these wicked or ill-defined problems in order to create innovative design solutions. It approaches these problems from a possibility-driven, iterative, and continuous perspective. But now you may wonder why design thinking is suitable for these complex problems. First of all, it is a human-centered and user-centered approach, which means that it puts emphasis on the user. In order to achieve innovative solutions that meet the needs of individuals, it encourages empathizing and strives at involving the users in the co-creation processes. Secondly, It advocates the importance of hands-on activities linked with real-life issues rather than hypothetical projects. Moreover, design thinking, which is also defined as the cognitive process of design, has its root in Aristotle's three reasoning modes, which are deductive, inductive, and abductive reasoning. Abductive reasoning is considered as the factor that differentiates design thinkers from other sorts of thinkers. Because differently from deductive and inductive reasoning, abductive reasoning can reach a step further through generating a plethora of possible answers. Since abductive logic pertains to what if and what could be questions, it paves the way for numerous possibilities, creativity, and innovation through imagination and visualization. According to the Design Council UK, the design thinking process consists of 4 stages in 2 main parts, divergence and convergence. Discover and develop stages are located in the divergence part. Define and deliver stages are in the convergence part. However, this one is not the only model, and the design thinking process is interpreted and adapted by various researchers. For instance, this one is another model of design thinking by the School of Stanford, and this model consists of 5 stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. As another example, the design thinking model of IDEO includes 5 stages as discovery, interpretation, ideation, experimentation, and evolution. And this one has 4 stages as what is, what if, what was, and what works. Here in this one, we have 3 phases as inspiration, ideation, and implementation. As you can see, although there are numerous models of design thinking, they have some common features. In all models, we can see the divergence and convergence. The divergence process is for generating choices as much as possible. But when it comes to the convergence process, it is the time to make choices amongst multiple options. Another common feature is that design thinking models have problem space and solution space. And lastly, the last common feature is that it is about its iterative nature. This process is not linear, and its stages are visited in an iterative way. For instance, here we have the Stanford 5-stage model, and we see the arrows between stages. And these arrows represent the iterations here. This is another example to show the importance of iterations. Even though this one is not the same model, it is the double diamond model of Design Council, we can still see the importance of iterations. In our t-crepe platform, we use the design thinking model of the Design Council because of its comprehensiveness and simplicity. For instance, the empathize stage of the Stanford's design thinking model is actually part of the discover stage here. Design thinking is not only considered as a process and methodology, but also a mindset. Even though design thinking has its roots in the design discipline, it is used by multiple disciplines such as engineering, business, management, social sciences, medicine, and education. And the reason is that acquiring this mindset can be very beneficial for the students. Instead of being passive learners, students can turn into confident creators with the help of this mindset shift and improve their 21st century skills. And these are the main characteristics of the design thinking mindset. By adopting this mindset, students can learn to embrace ambiguity, they can become curious and open to new ideas. They can learn about how to empathize and collaborate, They can practice iteration and optimism. And lastly, they can construct their own knowledge through experimentalism. These skills are seen as the key for innovation and generating novel and meaningful ideas. In this sense, design thinking is considered sets that can meet the present and future needs of the market. Adoption of the design thinking mindset is visible at various stages of education, from middle-level schools to graduate and postgraduate studies. For instance, design thinking has been used in a considerable amount of K-12 education settings, and universities have been incorporating design thinking into their curricula. Even though, as I said, design thinking has its roots in higher design education, various higher education programs teach design thinking to students from a variety of disciplines, from engineering to medicine. And it has been taught both in academia and professional practice through unconventional methods, such as learning by doing or conducting workshops on design thinking. As an unconventional method, in our t-crepe platform, we used the game-based learning approach in order to teach the design thinking mindset.